quality. So here I'm going to give you some information about quality. So a good place to start is, what is quality? What are we talking about when we talk about quality? It's kind of hard to explain actually, but an example is always very, very useful. So let's say you want a pen. So what would be some of your requirements for a pen? Well, I would like to have blue ink that will not leak in my pocket. That's very important. It will not smudge when I write. The ink appears as normal, acceptably normal. The ink will in the pen could last a couple of months, maybe 3 to 4 months. That would be nice. And it will work under normal conditions, so I live in the middle of Europe, so it should be fine there. I'm not going to the North Pole or not going to Saudi Arabia. And I do not need fancy features like it has to work upside down. Okay, so my requirements are fairly straightforward. Now suppose you have two pens. One you got for €2 and the other you got for €140, okay, because it's gold. Both meet your expectations. Now, I have a trick question for you. Just think about it for a moment. Which is the higher quality for my purpose? Well, for my purpose, all requirements are served. So for the purpose, both pens have the same level of quality. And I just described from a point of view of what I need to get the job done. Now let's do a programming example. Let's say the project is to deliver an online shop for a large organization, okay? So it's a big project. And you receive a new request that a new payment method should be added. Remember, a lot of users are going to be using this. So you cannot just add this quickly and go like, okay, great, let's put that in, it's a new module. You have to think about the consequences. So you got to think about the quality of the complete system. So taking stuff into account. So for example, the code that you are adding has to follow the same standards. For the maintenance people who maintain the application, it must also be easy for them. So there must be a certain way of doing coding. How transaction data will be transferred into the main database is also important because this is given in the standard format to the accountant. And how to deal with VAT and foreign payments as well. So all of these have got to be taken into account. And we were using standards to help us to think about this. So standards are really key for quality management. We can have our own standards or we can adopt standards for outside. And standards can be for security, for safety, privacy, integration, and so on. So what I'm getting at is standards really help us with aspects of quality. Now let me do a more concrete example. Let's say that you're the project manager for a large construction site and you are installing very large concrete support structures for the building. And of course you're going to follow standards for all of the steps to prepare the concrete. Then you will then do further tests will be done once you progress and once the concrete is dry. So you will continually test before other parts are added. So why did we do that? Well, if we leave it too late and we check later, then we've got to start knocking stuff down that we have already built. So we must continually check as we are working because the cost of rework would be enormous, okay? So projects should be always checking for quality as we are adding to the project. Now, some quality tips. When creating something, agree the requirements, but also the quality requirements. So to what level something should actually work. So if I have a pen, okay, I would like it to be blue ink. So if I get a black one, it won't do, or a red one, it won't do. If the pen only lasts like a week, then I have to keep buying new ones like that. So that's not a good idea. So I write down my quality requirements. Then the team can deliver the product to meet the quality expectations. It's part of their delivery, what they have to do is to deliver products users can use as expected and they will fit a purpose. And then we do lots of testing then to make sure that we are reaching that level of quality. Okay, and users can use the products as expected. If then the complete product works in the way that users expected, then the organization can get a return on their investment and they can get the expected benefits for the project. Now let's talk about how PRINCE2 actually, or the PRINCE2 approach to quality. Well, in the initiation stage, they say, well, let's agree on how we're going to follow up on quality. So our approach to quality. This is a template, I suppose, that they will use and say, okay, that's how we will manage quality or look at quality in the project. Then they define the steps that they will follow in the project. So, for example, or this document defines it. So when they create that first document which describes the main output of the project, they will add in the high-level requirements for their project. So it's always a good place to start. And then for every deliverable or product which they recognize, we'll actually add the quality requirements as well. Okay. PRINCE2 also gives 3 steps for quality, or a technique for quality. And it talks about planning quality, so adding quality requirements to documents, controlling quality. This is where we do tests to make sure that the products are passing the quality tests, and then we are accepting the finished products which have met or have passed the quality tests. So that's our planning, controlling, and accepting. Now, some organizations as well have lots of policies which we should take into account as well. So, for example, an organization may have a policy on security. So everybody has to wear a badge when you enter. You've got to badge in and badge out when you leave the company so we can know how many people are in the company. And then if there's a fire, we will know exactly who else is left in. We got to get out. They can have policies for filling in expenses. They can have policies for asking to go on vacation and so on. So sometimes, or mostly times, we should take these policies into view as well when we're working on a project to make sure that any work we're doing will actually match those organizational policies as well. PRINCE2 says one more thing here. Once that is done, well, when we're planning a stage, so we know what deliverables we're going to work on in the next stage, it says, well, keep an overview in a kind of a register, they call it a quality register, of when work will be delivered, products will be delivered, and when quality checks can take place. Okay, so keep that in a kind of a spreadsheet, and then put the result of the quality check in there as well. So it calls that a quality register. So that's one of the documents which PRINCE2 says to do. Another one of the documents, I should say. Then during the project manager will hand product descriptions, work out to the teams to do in packages of work. The team will work hard to deliver the products to meet the quality requirements. That's what they're concerned about. And that's when they will know they have finished, because they have done enough to get whatever they were working on to pass the quality requirements. Once that's done, they stop. And that will continue during the whole project. And then at the very end of the project, hopefully we have delivered everything. The project manager will have the acceptance criteria in their mind, and they will know up front, or they should have a good idea up front, whether this will be accepted by the customer or not, because they keep that conversation going during the project. So at the end, they're able to hand the finished main deliverable over to the users. Okay, so that gives you a full overview on how we do quality. As you can see, it's very linked to planning, because planning and quality go really hand in hand. Now, just a question for you to finish up here. When does the project manager think about quality? The answer is all the time. All the time. From the very beginning of the project, as soon as we start describing what the project will produce, we're thinking about quality, and until the very end, until the main product is handed over, That's the acceptance criteria. That's also quality. Good.